Hello, what is up everyone? One Piece Theory video Andy here, back at it again with another video, and I've never really been much of a theory guy, believe me. It's either the current climate of the story, or perhaps me getting more senile and crazy with the passing days I spend on this mining planet wasting away, but I have decided to make yet another theory video because I'm a little bit too busy this week with work things to alternatively work on this versus battle video that I wanted to do, and also because the big talk of the town is the events of the last chapter's ending, and I know this is the talk of the town because I don't even really watch One Piece content on YouTube anymore, but I just see thumbnails rolling into my recommendations blowing the events of last chapter into what I believe to be kind of an exaggeration. Except I honestly cannot tell you confidently if this is an exaggeration or not, cause, spoilers if you don't know, towards the end of last chapter, Jinbei and Who's Who were continuing their fight, and because Jinbei is a wealth of knowledge, he implies that Who's Who was this previously disgraced government agent that was at least at some point imprisoned. Who's Who then reveals that he used to be a member of CP9, and not only that, but a bright prospect and rival to Rob Lucci. This makes hella sense to me because he's obviously another predatory zone user who's also a master of the six powers. And a little tangent here, but I think it's cool to think about the fact that it's kind of plain as day to see that Rob Lucci in the current story is probably stronger than Who's Who, even though he has an inferior fruit to Who's Who in the form of a regular zone. But alas, Who's Who goes on to say that he has beef with Jinbei because he's a straw hat, that the captain of his pirate group is Luffy, who happens to be the user of the Gomu Gomu no Mi. This infuriates Who's Who because his downfall with the world government started as a result of him losing the Gomu Gomu no Mi while transporting it to what I assume to be some sort of government facility. Gasp! Dun dun dun! Oh my god, what a crazy twist! But is it like, really? I'm seeing a lot of theory crafting and people getting a bit too excited in my opinion. Clickbait thumbnails and discussions with implications coming from this chapter saying that the Gum Gum fruit could actually be this legendary fruit that's really threatening to the world government, and that could maybe perhaps be the case, but there's just no way the Gum Gum fruit could have belonged to a previously prominent figure from the last generation of pirates. Some people are even saying that the Gum Gum fruit could have belonged to a member of the Rocks Pirates or the Roger Pirates, and like, that just cannot be the case. That would open up way too many plot holes in my opinion. And also something that somebody in the comments might need to elaborate on, but on the One Piece wiki it currently states that the Gum Gum fruit was a treasure heavily guarded by the world government and was later stolen. And in my original reading, the rough translation said in the corner, a fruit important enough for the world government to guard? When you read the discussion between Who's Who and Jinbei, it just makes you think, oh, that's cool. That basically just gives Who's Who a personal reason to gripe with Jinbei, and you also get to learn that the red-haired pirate most definitely probably stole the fruit because they were in possession of it in Romance Dawn, and also you kind of just already learned this in a data card about Lucky Roo. But when you read that little tagline at the end, it just makes you think, holy freaking crap, the Gomu Gomu no Mi is the chosen fruit of legends, the ultimate threat to the world government and the slayer of a million men. And to be honest guys, the reason I said I couldn't tell if this was an exaggeration earlier was because when Dylan showed me the translations from a more official site, this little voice line was just omitted completely. So it basically just leads me to question whether Oda and his editors actually wrote this and like it was published in the original Japanese version, or if this is just some extra stuff that this translation site added in to gaslight me. I guess I'll have to post this video and have somebody explain it to me, or I'm just gonna have to wait for further chapters. Either way, I just have a lot of problems with this. I would honestly much rather the Gum Gum fruit remain a boring and mundane fruit that has little to no prior history given to it, because I really don't think the Gum Gum fruit is supposed to be cool. Like, it's a goddamn fruit that turns your body parts into the property of rubber. If you aren't a genius fighter metahuman like Luffy, this gag fruit could easily be a liability to you. I wouldn't like some previous legendary character to have this fruit, and I don't even really want to find out the fruit's previous owners in the One Piece timeline, because if I wanted to get a horrible all-for-one vibe, I would just watch My Hero Academia, and I'm not watching My Hero Academia that show is mid. Luffy's fruit is cool because Luffy makes it cool, not because it has some legendary status or history, but because Luffy is just a strong and tenacious goofy guy who makes this seemingly mundane and weak fruit ability one of the strongest known in the series. By this point in time, Luffy is a prominent and famous pirate who's come in contact with just about like everyone, the most prominent and old members in both the Marine and pirate factions, and no one has raised an eyebrow at this dude flailing his goofy ass rubber arms all over the place, yelling gum gum this and gum gum that. Like, there's just no way that this fruit could have some dope previous or scary user. At face value, it's much easier to deduce that this fruit was important enough to be guarded by a CP9 member, just because maybe every fruit is. Devil fruits are just valuable commodities in general, and I'm going to assume that maybe Who's Who just made a fool of himself being given a kind of simple mission for a man of his talents, only to be absolutely speed blitzed and violated by Lucky Roo and folded like an omelet. Like, every fruit that is in the pirates' hands and that's not in the world government's hands is just an L for the world government, so I just feel like they were pissed with Who's Who. Either that, or Dylan proposed that the Gum Gum fruit could be valuable to the world government because of its natural counter to a fruit that actually really does scare them. The fruit I'm talking about, of course, is the legendary Goro Goro no Mi, or the OP lightning fruit used by Enel. That would make a lot of sense, as they might be aware of the lightning fruit's existence, in that it's out there in the ether and a potential threat to them, but they don't know who it belongs to, where it is, or where its whereabouts are. So they might have been super stoked to find the Gum Gum fruit and were almost excited to get it into their possession, only to be disappointed to learn that Who's Who slipped up and got it stolen. We know the red-haired pirates stole the fruit. Specifically, in a data card, it's revealed that Lucky Roo was the one who did it, the swift and agile round combatant fighter of the red-haired pirates. Now, y'all didn't come here to hear me rant about my grievances with the latest decisions made in the One Piece manga. No, 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 no. Y'all came here to hear why the Gum Gum fruit could actually be significant to the overall story. So just ignore all those mundane explanations for why Oda decided to put the spotlight on the Gum Gum fruit and listen to this. But before you listen to this, you really should go check out my Shanks D. Zabek video, where I go into detail about my theories on Shanks' origins and motives in the story, because it's really important context for this video. Okay, theory time, let's go. So you guys know that when it comes to crazy wild theories, I would like to think that Luffy is destined to become the new Joy Boy of the One Piece story, and that the previous Joy Boy referenced by Roger and Joy Boy himself on the Poneglyph and Fishman Island is literally Luffy himself from a previous timeline. I would like to think Shanks is perhaps the son of Zabek, and because of this, he knew about a prophecy whereas somebody referred to as Joy Boy is going to overcome and defeat the world government, reform the world, and become king of the world. This may seem like a lot when I go out and summarize this, so just make sure you go and watch those other videos so I don't seem like a complete lunatic in just a minor one. So anyways, Shanks at this point in my theory realizes that a certain someone is going to come along and beef with the world government and become king. I also bet that Zabek originally thought that this person was to be himself, but evidently, as you can see by the events of God Valley, this just was not the case. I believe Shanks is currently on a quest to find Joy Boy and steer him on the path of either saving the world and defeating the government for everyone's best interests, or the less likely but extremely juicy scenario of Shanks manipulating Luffy from the very beginning into becoming some powerful tool for Shanks to actually use for his own nefarious deeds and desires. Pretty much you'll see here in a sec that either way, whether Shanks is evil or good, I believe he's really just a higher power that's been steering Luffy and grooming him from the very beginning. And while it seems that Luffy's pirate journey was the result of a young and naive boy innocently idolizing a strong, cool, and courageous pirate like Shanks, as you'll see here with the context given to us in the last chapter, combined with my crazy inner thoughts, it almost just seems like Shanks might have been seriously grooming Luffy into becoming Joy Boy ever since that fateful day in Fuchsia Village. Like, just wait till you hear what I have to spit. In my Shanks theory scenario, I believe Shanks went to the pirating world with the intention of gathering a strong and badass crew so that he could achieve a position of power, all for the sole purpose of finding Joy Boy. Shanks knew that he needed to find Joy Boy, he knew of his existence, and probably knew a handful of information about Joy Boy, considering Shanks is a secret agent, possible son of Zabek that can just stroll into the Five Elders room whenever he's feeling like it. So Shanks knew that he had to find Joy Boy in the current timeline that they were in, and he knew maybe at most what his fruit was. I'm going to insinuate here basically that perhaps the information Shanks was able to find out about Joy Boy was that Joy Boy had a devil fruit, and a very specific devil fruit that Shanks had never heard of before because it's not that juicer, aka the Gum Gum fruit. Since I do believe for all intents and purposes that Luffy quite literally is Joy Boy, this kinda definitely does make sense. I believe that Shanks ordered Lucky Roo specifically to go steal this devil fruit because he knew it was the actual key to luring out and finding Joy Boy. Shanks knows that he needs to find Joy Boy, and he knows the identity of the fruit that Joy Boy uses, so he must be destined to also acquire that fruit in the current timeline that they're populating. So Shanks stole the fruit because he knew Joy Boy had to obtain it one way or another, and I think Shanks kept it close to his side and just traveled around, perhaps thinking that fate would eventually lead the Gum Gum fruit to fall into the hands of a promising young pirate during his travels. And what do you know? Conveniently, that's exactly what happened. During his visit to Fuchsia Village, Luffy ate the fruit and gained its powers, thus becoming a rubber man, and now the prime candidate for being the individual that is the prophesized Joy Boy who's going to curb stop the world government. Now, I know that's a lot to take in, especially if you haven't seen my other theory videos, but I would just like to lastly mention that if you actually go and read Romance Dawn, it's almost scary and creepy just how much this theory could actually fit into the panels and actually be true. Like, the first time we see Luffy in the story in Romance Dawn, and you see him interacting with Shanks' crew, it's almost creepy how these guys could seriously be grooming Luffy harder than Padme Amidala in The Phantom Menace. Like, just look at these panels showing members of Shanks' crew going on about like, "Yo, Luffy, haha, being a pirate is always a good time. Oh, it's so fun, and there's lots of islands to explore, and you have so much freedom, haha." And Shanks literally says to stop filling his head with crazy ideas, but yo, Shanks, I honestly believe that that's exactly what you want to happen. Like, you literally see Luffy just stare at them bright-eyed, just this little kid, he's super inspired, with these grown pirates telling him about piracy like they get a commission rate for every pirate that joins the pirate era. I totally recommend going back and reading the original Romance Dawn, because there's a lot of voice lines like this where you could easily look at it and go like, oh yeah, these guys were like totally grooming this poor kid. And while reading the voice lines, it doesn't exactly make me think that Shanks is evil, but I do believe that it is super possible that he groomed Luffy. And perhaps Luffy's inspiration to become the Pirate King was designed by Shanks, the mastermind from the very start, using the Gum Gum fruit as a lure to do so. So what do you guys think about my theory? Do you think it's trash? Do you think it's insane? I basically think Shanks stole the Gum Gum fruit very specifically and by design because he knew he needed to use it as a lure to find Joy Boy in the current timeline to actually save the world and defeat the world government. But let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. I'd love to hear your input or even your theories on why the Gum Gum fruit may be fairly significant in the grand scheme of the One Piece story. And with all that being said, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to slap a like on it. If you're enjoying the content that you see on the channel, I'd be very flattered if you were to subscribe, hit that notification bell if you want to see more videos like this, and if you're feeling a little bit bored and lonely, join my Discord. We got a lot of cool people there who like talking about these very topics that I discuss on my channel. Link is always down in the description to the Discord. And with all that being said, guys, thank you so much for watching. I'm gonna have to see you in the next one.